What's up, y'all? This is Macaulay Sexton of Sexton Sobriety, and today I want to talk about anxiety. So, I've experienced anxiety a lot in my life. It used to rule my life, it used to dominate every aspect of my existence, and it was miserable. And this manifested basically as me being extremely self conscious, overly sensitive. My emotions were not right sized, they were exaggerated and it resulted in me kind of stuffing down stuff. As a young person, I had traumatic experiences and I would relive these a lot. And this was just very concerning for me. It was a hard thing to experience. I felt shamed a lot. I had experiences specifically like at school and stuff like that that basically inflamed strong feelings of shame and regret and even suicidal ideation as a little kid. So later on in life, when I was administered benzodiazepines for anxiety, I felt a huge sigh of relief. I was like, oh, okay, this must be what normal people feel like. The problem is that it basically made me forget a lot of traumatic experiences temporarily. So in the moment when I would take the medication, I would think, oh, this is okay, yeah, this is totally manageable. I feel better. The problem is that benzodiazepines, in my experience, they affected my impulses, they numbed my emotions, and they put me into a place to where I wasn't really able to look at things in the way I needed to in order to address them. Let me just put it that way. I attended counseling while taking these medications. I did not abuse them at first. I did start abusing them pretty quickly, but I just want to say it wasn't like out the gate. I just started abusing them. So what I want to touch on is the anxiety loop that I was experiencing. So like I said, I had past traumas that I didn't want to feel. So I would take the medication and it would help me to forget and to ignore. The thing is that I wasn't really willing to fully jump into that stuff and talk about it yet. So I wasn't. And basically, this just continued my suffering. So not only was that trauma still there, but now I was adding more negative experiences on top of that because it was creating behavioral issues, the benzodiazepines. And I'm not saying this to shift the blame and say that I wasn't responsible for my own behaviors. I'm just saying when your impulse control is impaired, this can create behavioral issues. And so this persisted for years, to where basically I was just adding new traumatic experiences, new unfavorable experiences, and just stuffing my emotions down. The thing is that the further down you stuff emotions, the more they try to push back up and erupt like a volcano. So this was my experience. I continued to take the medication. I started abusing the medication. This created more behavioral issues. My anxiety persisted. I was having panic attacks all the time. I could take a benzodiazepine and have a panic attack within a couple minutes. So basically, I just want to touch on the anxiety aspect that was general and then the panic attack aspect. So the general anxiety persisted and basically was able to break through even though I was on the medication. The same thing happened with panic attacks, except for now, my body basically was programmed to realize that if I had a panic attack, I was gonna get to take more benzodiazepines. So this to me is like being a lab rat that's being prodded with this thing that's shocking you, a cattle prod. And that's the anxiety. It's just getting at you. It's shocking you. It's creating a response. And then you're given a button that will release something that gives you immediate relief, or it will give you an injection. Say that you're the lab rat in this cage and you have the option to press this button. That's what you're going to do if you're not presented with another option. Then later on, you are presented with another option, but you're so used to getting the relief from the button instantly. So generally, people are going to keep pressing the button because life is going to throw stuff at you. That's just inevitable. It's just about how you deal with it and if you face it, if you accept it. So that's just a way for me to explain what it was like. I would get shocked by life. I would press the button, and I did this over and over again. And then I started, like I said, I was given another option. But this option is unknown. You haven't done it yet. You haven't tried it yet. So you would assume that it's better just to press the button that gives you instant relief. And so basically I had to be given incentive and I had to be basically forced to press the other button. The other button is recovery. The other button takes a lot of effort. The other button you have to work really hard at, and you have to do a lot of things you've been avoiding. So I'm really grateful that I was given the opportunity to press the other button, because now I can say that I was able to look at my past trauma. I was able to accept it, integrate it, move forward, learn positive coping skills. And guess what? My anxiety levels are at an all-time low. I still experience anxiety, but it's very rare and it's not long lasting like it used to be. I've maybe had probably 2 panic attacks in the 7 years I've been clean and sober. So that's amazing. And when I say panic attacks, they were very mild. I wasn't collapsing to the ground. My hands weren't seizing, closing. I wasn't losing consciousness. So I have a lot of experience with anxiety, and I know that you can go from someone who's extremely anxious, who's diagnosed with agoraphobia, a fear of leaving the house and being in public situations, who's having severe panic attacks that are putting you in the emergency room, who has just this general level of just anxiety all the time. You can go from that to being generally relaxed and like stoic, I would say, at this point. So for anyone out there that's suffering from anxiety, I just want you to know you can heal from this. I'm not discouraging medication. I am not a doctor. This is not clinical or medical advice. I'm just sharing my experience. And what I've found is that working on myself, going to therapy, having community, sharing how I feel, having some positive coping skills and actions and daily disciplines, morning routine, all of that with chemical abstinence, so not changing the way that I feel, all of that has brought me the most relief. Like, I do not experience insane anxiety anymore. And you would think that you need to take a bunch of medications constantly to achieve what I've achieved, but that's not the case. Taking these medications brought me to the place that I'm at now. So ultimately, I'm grateful that I had the bad experience with benzodiazepines and that I was prescribed a whole bunch of non-addictive meds out of treatment, and that I was able to take CBD to get off them. And then now I don't have to change the way that I feel with anything. So yeah. And one more thing before I end, I want to say that the past 3 years, I haven't consumed nicotine or caffeine, and it's done so much for my anxiety. So much. Like, I was really just shooting myself in the foot consuming a bunch of caffeine and nicotine. So I just wanted to touch on that. No judgment if you consume benzos, if you consume nicotine, caffeine, mind-altering substances. That's not the point of this. The point of this is just to say that you can go from one place to another that's drastically different. And if I can do it, then you can do it. That's really all I have to say. Much love to everyone. Be easy on yourself.